Hey, this is Oliver Carlson, CRM Chat Guy, and in this video I'd like to talk about how to use the colors settings on option sets and how they trickle through to your entity-specific dashboards inside the new user interface, and how we can use those same color codes inside your Power BI reports for more consistent formatting throughout all the places that your end users look at visualizations. So first, let's have a look at where those colors are actually being used in the dashboards. And they're only being used in the new unified interface. And they're actually only being used in the entity-specific dashboards. They're not being used here in the main dashboards, which I'm currently on. So first, I'll navigate to Cases. And then I'll go ahead and say Open Dashboards. Will take me to an entity-specific dashboard. And I'll just use my own dashboard here and show the visual filter. And we can now see the dashboard where we have cases by priority, for example, where the high priority items is in a nice bright red color. The low priority items is in a light blue color, and the normal items is in a standard blue color. The same thing here with the in progress merge items, problem solved items have different colors. If I click on problem solved, we can see that that color actually trickles through here to the case list views and are being used on the side of those lists. And the problem solved items to kind of give an indication there as well. These color settings actually comes from the solution editor and the option set itself. So if I just bring in the solution editor here, and I'm already on cases, fields, and we'll have a look at the priority code. So if you look at the option set for priority code, scroll down a little bit and we look at high, we can actually see the color code down here, and we can change it basically to any color code that we like. The same with normal, which is that nice blue color. We have that low item. If I add additional items, I can add more color codes. The same thing with the status codes. All the color codes are added on here. Now, that's of course where we can see them and how they're used inside Dynamics 365, which is a standard setting. And in this case, actually makes it a lot easier to make a color persistent to a specific series. So for example, if you always want your high priority cases to show up red, that was something that was pretty difficult to do, at least without manual XML modifications, etc., in the classic dashboards or the original dashboards and charts, if you will. But let's look at how we can use these same colors in our Power BI reports. So I'll just open up a Power BI report here. I've already started it, and I have a list of cases, basically the same list of cases from the same environment that we were just looking at in Dynamics 365. So we'll see how we can use the colors in here. And what I'll do first is look at how I can query the colors and get the option set and color information into my Power BI data model. And what I'll use for that is I'll use the XM toolbox, and I'll use the Power Query Builder tool that Mohammed Rashid and myself have been working on. So I'll open this up, and if you're interested in learning more about the Power Query tool, here while I click Load Entities, if you're interested in learning more about it, I have some introduction videos on my blog, so feel free to check those out as well. In this case, we'll just look at getting the option sets from the case entity here, or the incident entity. And what I'll do, I'll just click on Active Cases. I'll bring out all the fields here from the Active Cases view, which includes priority and status reason here that we were talking about. In this case, I'll already have my cases inside the data model. So I'll just click on Generate Option Sets. And I'll now get three tabs here: Priority Code, Case Origin Code, Status Reason or Status Code, which are the option sets that were included in that field list. So what I'll do here is I'll copy, go back to my Power BI report. So I'll click on Edit Queries, and you'll see here I have some of the base items. I have the base URL, the service root URL that the Power Query Builder uses in its Power Query strings in order to properly retrieve the information. I'll click on Blank Queries and click on the Advanced Editor, and basically just copy all of the material, paste all of the Power Query code that I had that I got from the Power Query Builder tool. So I'll click Done, and I'll rename this table here to Priority Code. And in this table, we can see we have the value, we have the color code, we have the label, and the description of this specific option set here. And I can quickly do the same thing with the status reason. So I go back here to this tool, I pick up the status code Power Query for that option set, click on New Blank Query, advanced editor, put the information in there, and in this case I'll call it case status code, just because we have so many status codes, etc. in the system, we need to be able to tell them apart. So here we have the color codes from Dynamics 365. These were actually in the system by default, so they come out of the box. The priority codes were the ones that I've added myself. So I'll go ahead and click close and apply. And now this is a part of our data model. So we can actually try and add a new matrix table here. And I'll just move it up to the top. And we'll add the priority code. So I have the color, label, value, and let's just move the color to the bottom here. So I have the label, the value, the color codes, etc. And we can sort it according to value, so it's high, normal, low, which is a more preferable order. Now, what's new here in the latest version of the Power BI desktop client is that we can now do conditional formatting of specific fields and add the color code from another field. So if we go there to background color, turn it on, the conditional formatting, and we say format by field value, and we can basically specify what field that we should use in this case. I can use the priority code, I can select color, I'll click on OK, and we can now see that we are using the exact same colors here in the Power BI report that we otherwise were using inside the Dynamics 365 dashboards. Now, of course, I would want to add this to my standard case view here, so we can see all those conditional formatting on my list of cases. So what I'll do first here, since there's no relation between cases and priority code, is that I'll take the priority code here, which is the field that contains the value of the priority, which matches the value in the priority code here. I know this because when it says priority code, I know that is the value of that field. The one here, priority, is the label of that specific value. So now that those two are related, I can go to cases and I can go ahead and create a new column. And I'll call this color priority. Here goes, and I'll say related, and then I can select priority code color here. There are different ways you can do this. You can also use a lookup value, etc., so you don't necessarily have to create a relationship. But the important part is that I get a column on the case table, which or a column on there which has the color value. All right, so now I have the color priority, and on my case table I can do the conditional formatting and case number, and I can turn on the background color, and I can use the field value again. And in this case, I can select the case and the color priority on here. I'll go ahead and say OK. And we can now see how all of these are being filtered accordingly to their priority. So we get those visual indicators inside the report too. And more importantly, they match what we're expecting from our Dynamics 365 dashboards as well. And one of the nice things is that this table now is actually a query. So if somebody updates the option set values, the color codes, add additional values, etc. inside Dynamics 365, your Power BI report and the formatting here will be updated at the same time, so they'll stay in sync. It's not a manual task in order to do that. All right. I hope you enjoyed this post and can use those option set color values. Maybe you've been wondering what they were, so now you can take advantage of them and use them in both your Dynamics 365 entity-specific dashboard, as well as bringing those values into Power BI and then use the new conditional formatting option. We're using the field value in order to keep those reports in sync and have a more consistent user experience between Dynamics 365 and Power BI. This is CM Chat Guy. Thanks for listening, and please sign up for my blog, follow me on Twitter, and look forward to new videos. Thank you.